This is about 20 minutes, so I will actually jump and only few items I will show. See, actually, I have one basic question with you. We are conducting different festivals. Different festivals will be reenacted in different ways. For example, during Ram Leela, we conduct killing of Ravana. Or in different festivals in India, festivals are actually earmarked for different things. So some historical or mythical informations are actually embedded in it. Robert Jerome Smith actually tells, if you see the rituals practices, you can get a clue of the past, what has happened, and how many changes are actually taking place. Here, the devotees are actually moving with the torches in their hands. Actually, they feel that they are the soldiers of a particular deity who was a chieftain at that age, and they are going to kill the demon. Why the demon is to be killed every year? That's one question. Why Ravana is to be killed every year? It is not just to kill Ravana, it is to kill the desires which actually comes in our mind, in our heart, in odd situations. We have to kill such desires. So for that purpose, these festivals are being done. So through this, actually, we are giving the education to the young kids. But the common people actually, they absorb the essence of this and they lead their life very strictly to these things. You just see, this appears very old video, but even today, very recently, 1 week back, this festival also held. And the interpretations are even related to the present political scenario also. The prophecies actually told during such fair, it will be attributed to the political happenings, agricultural happening also. But my point is, I wanted to draw your attention to this particular item. Just for 2 minutes, you observe this particular part, and then I will have a discussion over it. I think video is seen. Somebody can react?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, please have a look at it. My question is about a belief system. Then I will come to history. I think being social scientists, we have a lot of things to do here. It is not a drama. It's piercing a trident in his cheek.
Yes, excuse me, sir.
Please.
Sir, I am Dr. Basaya Matpati. Sir, I am visually impaired. Can you explain what the content in the videos?
Okay, sorry, Basaya. Now I am actually playing a video related to Mailarlinga fair or Devarguda fair, which is happening near Rani Bennur in Karnataka.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And actually, in that one small part, I am actually giving the visuals. Here in this video, iron tridents are actually passed through cheeks, and one Goravaya, he is hitting by himself and creating a hole in his hind leg, and blood is actually shedding there, and some threads, particularly made of the leather of deer or sheep, it will be passed through that hole. Blood is actually flowing down, and some thorns also will be passed through that.
Which community practice this ritual, sir?
Yes, actually, the devotees are majority from
Gaurava.
Kuruba community, but the person who actually conduct this is belong to Kanchaviras. Kanchaviras are actually a Harijan community. They are doing this.
In the Maharashtra border of Karnataka, the
Yeah, there
Limbu
is
community, Panchala community, practice this like this during their marriage ceremony, and
okay, yes.
this practice called Google.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because they are the followers of Kandoba there. Kandoba of Maharashtra and Mailalinga of Karnataka, they are the same cult actually. They are the different phases of the same
महाराष्ट्र में
deity.
खंडोबा होते हैं, कर्नाटक में मैलार महादेवा मैलार लिंगा.
Yes, in Karnataka we call it as Mailara. In Andhra Pradesh we call it as Mallanna. In Adimengundi near Alur district, Mallanna Devarguddam is there. In Karnataka,
Yes, sir.
Devargudda
Yes,
is
sir.
there. In Maharashtra, Pali and Jejori are the main centers where actually they called Rautrai or Kandoba. Of course. Okay. My intention is
Sir, it is
just
belongs to Shaivism, sir.
yeah, this is Shaivism. Yes.
Okay.
Mailarlinga is an incarnation of Shiva. Now, I will come to the main point. Just in the middle, I don't want to have this interruption. That's why I showed this video in the beginning itself. I will discuss in the middle. Just wait. I'm sorry, I'm finding some. Yes. Just 1 minute. I found it. Yes, I can. I think you can see the slide. Yes, I may repeat some of the things because now I am actually taking the particular examples for the argument which I have developed in the previous session. This is actually a sort of continuation of the previous session only. I started to discuss about the changes that has happened over the years and how to understand those changes, and the causes also we may discuss for such changes. I hope I am listening. Hello?
Sir, you are audible and visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
My point is, I'm actually trying to look at the overall history of 1000 years, that is from 10th century to 20th century, and how the changes, particularly in administration, that is political changes, then in education system, how the education system has changed, then the economic system, how the economics is actually changed, then the cultural changes, because all this actually comprises in the society, and the societal changes actually depends upon all these factors. So if I look into the Karnataka's cultural history, we had a rich cultural history. Particularly this richness is because of the patronization by the dynasties. Influence of dynasties were there, and there was links with religion and dynasties and social structure also. I think at the end I may try to discuss with the particular person who raised the question about that Muslim author who actually raised some points, that is Kalim Siddiq's ideas. But before that, I want to discuss these matters, then I will come to that particular item. See, these cultural changes, that is actually run through this way. Earlier dynasties, Kadambas, Chalukyas, Hoysalas, or the king Nrupatunga, we may say in Kannada, the literature actually took its written form, and the first prose has come during the Sri Vijaya Drupatunga's period, etc. See, 10th century, during that time itself, we had written literature. As far as the inscription is considered, we get the idea by Halbidi inscription, and it dates back to 450 AD. So, Karnataka culture is actually, we can give guarantee that it has a history of 1500 years. When written things are there at 1500 years back, certainly another 3-4 centuries will be there in the oral form. Actually, I am working more on oral epics, and I am dealing with oral histories. Oral history, because when we are directly dealing with history, we are taking the documents either from inscriptions or from the writings of different people, or the notes written by Payan or Hyansang. So in different ways, we are actually collecting the documents. But when you enter into oral history, see, there are oral epics. Oral epics are actually the assets of different communities. Particularly, I wanted to show one particular item to you. Please have a look at it. In just 1 minute, you please have a look at this. I'm sorry, this video is not functioning properly. Okay.
ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ HEG ಕೌಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಕೌಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ 11 ಏನೋ ಉಳ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಇಯರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಯಾವ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಇರೋದು?
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇದೆ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ HE ಐತೆ.
You are not audible,
Okay,
sir.
sorry. I'm missing that photo and that video because that video is not playing properly. So I don't want to waste your time. Okay, what I would like to show is I had some records collected by Helavas. Helava is a depending caste. They actually keep the records of lineages of different families, particularly of major communities. And each Helava family is assigned to some villages, and all the families records who born in which year, who died in that particular year, etc. Everything will be recorded, and they are keeping a long record with that. They are actually illiterate. They cannot read it. They sing the songs. In that song, they actually add all these things. But they will make corrections, additions, deletions in the written record, which actually keeps in a bamboo shell. They put it, and it will be very long one. It is not one page, one A4 size page. It is not like that. Some 100 A4 size papers will become glued together as one sheet, and they roll it and they will keep that. I wanted to show that photo. There are actually certain documents available in the communities. we historians, it is the time to look at those documents also. Many times land records are available in that. Now we can see in one particular case in Mysore, the dates are actually taken when changes happened. When one person give it to other person as a donation, when a person purchased it, when the government actually changed its structure, denotified, etc., etc. Also, records are actually taken from sub-registrar's office now. Earlier, such records are available in Helavas. The communities are actually maintaining such records. We say Kulkarnis and Shanboks and other people, they are also actually revenue record holders and they were collecting the tax according to the land division, etc., etc. we are telling. So such systems were there. So when we are understanding the history, we have to look into such data also. Another important data is actually available through oral literature. Oral literature is nothing but it is the experience of the senior generations, which has got transferred from one generation to the next. So the written documents are available from 10th century, Vadaradhane in Kannada by Shivkotacharya or Kaviraj Marga from Nrupatanga. Even before that, the data is available in oral literature. It is transferred from that literature by that generation to the next generation. But validity of such things is very difficult. So working with oral literature, working with oral history is very difficult. It is not that easy as we are doing with the regular history documents. But it is important to understand that also. See, the rich cultural heritage of Karnataka is because of the patronization. The rich literature of Karnataka or Kannada is also established because of these kings only. Jaina religion was actually patronizing these items. Pampa, Ranna, Ponna, etc. They belong to Jaina religion. They were writing one particular book. Alli Belaguve, Laukika, Illi Agama. So like that, they are actually making two parallel lines. In one, they were writing about religion aspects, Adi Purana, Ajit Tirthakar Purana, Shantinath Purana, etc. But at the other side, they are writing Vikramarjuna Vijaya, Sasabhima Vijaya, or Gadayuddha, etc. Like that also. See, this patronization is very important. During that time, Atimabbe from Shravana you can see Chaundraya's place. There is one Atimabbe who was actually considered as a great patron who actually made Ponna's Shanti Purana actually into 1,000 copies at that time. She was actually well prized by Ranna as Biliyaraliyante, Ganga Jaladante, Vajit Sena Munipatiya, Gunavaliante, Negalta Kopanachalante, Pavitra Matima Becharitam. She actually traveled from Kopanachala to Shavanbalgala, etc. So such people were there actually who actually give their wealth, give their life to support for cultural developments, the writings, etc. At the same time, during the Hoysala period, we can see, or during Vijayanagara period, we can see temples are actually built. So here I would like to take three important points. One is these temples. Okay, it's having so many negative items also. Let me keep them for side for some time. The negative impacts, the casteism, the hierarchy, the domination from one particular community, etc., etc. On the other hand, many of the temples are actually worked as trade centers. Example, Halebeedu is one such center actually. Vijayanagara's Hampi, Virupaksha temple, and the market there. It is also an international trade center actually of that time. So like that, temple architecture, the construction of temple, the activities happening around a temple, that actually forms the social sector of that particular age. Employment for artisans, traders, and laborers through temple economic, that's one of the major economic point during those periods. Agrarian prosperity many times tied to temple-based landholding and irrigation systems. Devadaya Brahmadaya system is, it was seen up to 1971. When lands are actually redistributed, we could see through the documents that there were lands related to temples also, not only to the priests or the different Shanboks or Karanikas or other people. There were lands in the name of the temple also. Of course, Uluvane Holadodiya, that actually brought a change and ownership is handed over. So when we looked into the history, so the agricultural system, it is drastically changed over the years. And this agricultural system, it is further actually linked to the economic changes also. See, in Shimoga district, particularly in the Malnad regions, Tirthalli, Koppa, Enarpura, or Chikmagalur, in that particular area, paddy fields, when converted into arecanut fields some 100 or 150 years back, the generation opposed it. Because paddy is for filling the stomach, whereas arecanut is for the purpose of filling the pocket. That's the concept actually. There was generation opposition actually. Senior generation people slightly opposed it. But in further down, in Malabar region, these arecanut gardens or the coffee plantations or tea plantations, they are further changed into rubber plantation. So there is commercial crop. Commercial crop entered into agricultural land, that actually created a sort of change in the economic system of the rural agricultural system. So this is having some sort of relation with cultural things also. See, our festivals are related to paddy agriculture system. Yugadi in the March, the rain stars are actually divided into 27, Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, etc. And every star rain period is fixed to certain days according to mathematical calculation, old Hindu lunar calendar system calculation. There actually Bharani comes with the second, Ashwini, Bharani. There is a saying popularly, Bharani Malage Bija Bittu. That means you sow the seeds during the period of Bharani rain star period. That means that is the beginning of the land work. See, before that Bharani, the agricultural land should be tilled properly 7 times, and then the people should be ready to sow the seed, because at that time the rain will come. That is the generation's understanding. It is because of the experience. Similarly, ಮಗೆ ಮಳೆ ಬಂದಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು, ಮನೆ ಬಗ ಉಂಡಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು. ಮಗೆ ಮಳೆ, Makha, comes in the middle actually. That's around this Ganesha festival. So during that time, this rain, if heavy rains comes, that is good to the seedlings. It takes strong roots and it actually grows well. Similarly, near Deepavali, there is one festival called by the name Bhumi Hunnime. Bhumi Hunnime festival is actually to mark the bringing of new crop to the house for the first time. This is the first cutoff actually. That means these festivals, they actually fixes the times. See, in our university system, you might have observed, semesters are actually fixed. First semester from this date to this date. If you fix the examination date at the time of beginning of the semester, everything will come settled proper way. The portions will be covered exactly during that time. The classes will be held properly and exams will take place on that time if you stick on to that particular timetable. So that should be announced in the beginning itself. Like that, here also during the Deepavali, the crop cutting will be there means the whole process actually it runs accordingly. And our festivals, they're actually the rural calendars. It's a sort of a landmark in each of the growth of that particular academic agrarian work. But what happens in the modern era? The water serving system has changed now. Water serving system, through pump sets we can feed water at any time. By drip irrigation we can feed water in different ways. So when such changes are happening, our cultural things also derooted from their things. See, a person who lives in the village, he is having some meaning with the festival and he will think about that and he will do relating to their agricultural activities. But a person from the same family who lives in the urban place, for example in Bangalore, so they actually moved away from the land. Still they are in the same cultural setup. They do conduct these festivals, but the meanings are slightly changed for them. And then again, second migration, you think, from India to abroad, for example, Dubai, Singapore, then America, in different places. Actually, the total cultural calendar changes, but still we conduct festivals, but cultural foundations that actually slowly changing their derooting from their original positions. Okay, this caste system also. Earlier, this caste system was actually established because of the work system. But this caste becomes a curse to the society. When people understood that this is a curse, then automatically the changes are actually expected in the society. Who actually created these changes? So again, we have to look back to 11th century. So when we look back to 11th, 12th century, the Lingayat movement, Vachana Sahitya movement, the Basavana period, it becomes very important. As far as Karnataka's cultural shift, this 12th century is one of the very important things. Shaivas, the original, the previous Brahminical system, Jaina system, there were different types of living system. But social change appeared during this Basava period. Rejection of caste hierarchies is one of the major items there. Then cultural shifts. The emphasis on equality and dignity of labor. Kayakwe kailasa. Kalabeda, kolabeda, usiyan udiyalu beda. ಅನ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಅಸಹ್ಯ ಪಡಬೇಡ, ಇದರ ನಿಂದಿಸಬೇಡ, ಇದರ ಹಳಿಯಲು ಬೇಡ. ಅಯ್ಯ ಎಂದರೆ ಸ್ವರ್ಗ, ಎಲ್ಲವೋ ಎಂದರೆ ನರಕ. See, these words, they are not just the poems or phrases, but they are having some sort of inner meaning and gives a sort of value to the life. But here, it is applicable to everybody. It is not just restricted to any caste, any creed, any race. So that's actually a major development during this Lingayat movement. Emphasis on equality and dignity of labor. This is very important. Actually, this is one of the major social change that has happened. So when this change has happened, the economic change is also possible here. The ruling change is also possible here. See, even after that, this casteism is continued. Even these days, this particular Lingayat movement, which actually tried to remove the caste system, itself actually bound as a caste in the caste system. But the ideas are actually transformed even to the modern society. This is where actually the impact on literature also we can see. The common people's literature has emerged. Aidaki Maraya, Aidaki Lakkamma, she actually tells one particular thing. Isakki ase ninage ke, she asks. Actually, the custom in that Vachana group, that Sharanas group, was to beg the rice from different houses and to eat. But one day, her husband brought more rice. She tells, why you got desire of collecting this much of rice? See, these are small words, small sentences, but actually tells about the greater value system, human values. Even Kanakadasa, he tried to explain the ill effects of castes. Kula 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 vindu badidadu viri. So he actually tells it in the way. Even the reformers within the community, say for example Purandaradasa, he questions madi endu Parvireke. So if you just get down immersed in river water, is it purity? He questions. If you are not able to donate something to the poor, then what greatness you are having? Such questions arises. That means the society started thinking about reformations. The society thinking about its structure. Earlier, people used to believe that you born in this particular caste because of your purva karma. But this karma system itself is questioned. Karmanyavadhikarasti mapalish kadachana. Or papoham papakarmaham papatma papsambho atraimam krupaya deva sharanagata vatsala. I did so many sins. So please forgive me. You give me upliftment. So these type of thinking that has started changing over the years. See, this lower castes who were actually rejected education, who were actually rejected social participation, who actually rejected to get water from common well, or who actually rejected to till the land. In Koti Chennaya Padana, Padana means it's actually the Orlepic available in coastal Karnataka, near Karkala and in different places of South Canara, coastal Karnataka, you can see some Padanas actually. They are giving different types of histories. In Koti Chennayas, they are actually two strong young men born in the downtrodden community. They are actually not supposed to till the land, but her mother, she tells, if you are independent economically by earning yourself your food, then you need not be bowing your head to anybody. So by learning that, they wanted to till the land. And the kids actually tells her mother that we are going to till the land and we will grow paddy, shift cultivation, and then it is the time to settle it. The agriculture was introducing at that time. So Ballala, the king, who actually ruling that particular part, he gets the news of this particular item and he actually opposes this, and a war begins, a combating actually begins, and ultimately they are going to be killed. and the community worships them as their heroes, cultural heroes. You see, this is the oral history. Now you can see some temples in the name of Koti Chenaya, or you can find some palaces relating to that Ballala, etc., history. We can really look into those items. But exactly what we have to search there? We have to search there how the mindset is actually changed. Agricultural lands ownership was actually restricted in the hands of a few communities and few people who are jamindars, who are kings, who are rulers, who are chieftains, and the common man had no authority over it. And people, they started thinking about it. See, such changes are happened because empowerment was given actually to different communities. So here we have to understand some of the cultural clashes what has happened during those periods. Even the case of Mailarlinga, I have shown that video. There you can see there is a shedding of blood. The performer, he himself actually hits his leg, makes hole, sheds the blood, passes the iron trident through it, and he says he's doing service to the god. So if we dig more into the oral history of that particular item, Mailarlinga's epic actually runs as a fight between landlords and the shepherding community. Shepherdings are semi-nomadic communities. They are moving from one place to another place. They wanted to settle down. They wanted the ownership. Mailarlinga actually stands as a cultural hero for those communities who wanted to get the ownership of the land during that particular period. Maybe 8th century roundabout. How you are telling that it is 8th century? Again, that question arises. We have to go for historical documents where the word Maila, Malava is his wife, Mailara, that word comes. Ninna Tane Chattapaninda Ada Mailanum Maliniyam. That word is available in Brahma Shiva's Samaya Pariksha book. So this actually gives, when Brahma Shiva wrote this Samaya Pariksha, so that book's time we can take. Ninne Tanada means very recently that god has emerged. So that means they are the new gods, new cultural heroes entered. So some 1 or 2 centuries back that deity is established. So Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, they are the pan-Indian, very ancient gods. But there are many other gods who actually, every community owes they are their gods. Jinjappa, Ettappa, Patappa. So every community actually is having its own gods. And long history is actually written about them. The oral epics are actually gives the 3 generation stories of such saints or gods or cultural heroes of that. The question arises whether they are actually historical people or mythical characters. The community believes that they are historical people. Whereas we analysts, we say it may be a creation. But see, these oral epics, they are the community's creations. Maybe it might be created by one particular person, but it's accepted by the all. Samashti Srishti, Eka Vyakti Srishti, Allah. So when it is a Samashti Srishti, that is the whole community creates it. And when community owns it, so it becomes the history of that particular community, the migration stories. See, in all Padmanas, where Bhutakola, you might have seen that Kantara film. There actually generation stories out there. The senior generation, they wanted the ownership of the land. And many of such things are happened because of the land ownerships. Because grabbing of one's asset by the other, or identifying the ownership of a particular land, or getting the ownership of an uncapped land. So all such things, that actually leads to so much of conflicts. So the shifting cultivation to agriculture, that's one of the major things happened, and that actually leads to so much of social changes in this. Establishment of this caste system is also due to this agricultural activity only. Those who touches the mud, those who are not touching the mud, a Geneva actually makes this difference. Those who are skilled laborers, blacksmith, priest, these goldsmith, etc., etc., they wear this Geneva. It is not just the Brahmins wear the Geneva. See, because there is initiation, there is apprenticeship for learning that particular work, and for that purpose, to show that initiation, a thread is actually given. So that's actually a social system established because of the agricultural establishment. But in the modern days, this cultural setup slowly gets changed. 3 times you have to make Sandhya Vandana, but now in the software company, when the people are asked to work for more than 8 hours, now Narayan Murthy says, Infosys Narayan Murthy, that 14 hours of duty is required. So something like that, you will not find enough time to do Sandhya Vandana in 3 different times, Munjane, Madhyana, evening, etc., etc. So the situations changes, the context changes, and the meaning also changes, and rituals also got changes. Our ritual meanings are going to be changed. Actually, in Nagar Panchami, it is a Sarpa, that is serpent, is going to be worshipped. On Nagar Chauthi, the Sarpa is made to come inside. The Rangoli, the floral drawing will be written in such a way that the serpent is entering into the house. The next day, it actually shows that it is moving out. See, there are strong belief systems, religious bonding is there in the people, but over the years, it is said that it is changing. But when you see the video which I have shown, so even some 10 days back, this is repeated there in Devargoda. Such type of action is actually being conducted. Even now, the communities, the castes, they wanted to perform certain rituals within the limit of their 4 walls, at least they wanted to do it. So what is actually the social change? What is actually the economical change? What is actually the cultural change? See, everybody wants to earn more. That's one thing. When you get financial benefits, your comforts will be more. So for that purpose, you have to earn. So getting these comforts and other things, contacts, networking, everything is fine. But at the same time, you may come out, you may not. See, in universities, actually, when this casteism becomes one of the major points a few decades back. So the intercaste marriage system is actually promoted in different ways. But again, it fails to eradicate the caste system in total. So such changes are actually happened in Indian community. So in the colonial system in Karnataka, we can see poor coffee plantations and transforming rural Karnataka's economy has changed because of these things. Focus on cash crops like cotton and coffee is increased in Davangere, you might have seen. And there also misleading is also there. Sometimes some BT cotton seeds problem has arisen in Davangere. Actually, what has happened, there was traditional system of development of cropping, particularly agricultural system. But this artificial manure is introduced there. Chemicals, government gobra, rasayanika gobra. So from the organic farming, we shifted to that way. And normal seeds to hybrid seeds. Instead of getting one crop in a year, we started getting 2 crops in a year. What happens? Some 3-4 years they got good yield. Once the fertility is over, the sand becomes it's barren land actually. So people affected in the other way also. See, regarding the modernity also, this sort of questions are there actually. So when you build the dams, water is actually collected there, but improper distribution is there. So a few people got the advantage and certain lands remain uncultivated or barren because of not reaching that water to that particular place. So such disparities continued. Anyway, the effects are actually done this way. Emphasis on Kannada identity and local pride is improved during post-independence industrialization day. Bangalore is developed due to this industrial development. HAL, BAL and other factories are developed. And because of the Silicon City concept, as Bangalore is called as the Silicon Valley of Karnataka. So a lot of developments are taken place in one particular area. But let us compare that with Yadgiri or Raichur or Haveri or different places of Karnataka. See, that disparity remains still. Regarding social movements, this is also one of the very important item in independent India. Dalit rights, farmers' protests, environmental activism. This is actually taken place during the independent India in a very better way. Particularly supported by Ambedkar's thoughts, Dalits actually took the empowerment way and they tried to. In 1970s particularly, rejecting the identity was the movement. ನಾವು ದಲಿತರು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ತಮಟೆ ಹೊಡೆಯೋರು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬೇಸತ್ತು ಆ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ತಮಟೆಯನ್ನ ಬೆಂಕಿಗೆ ಎಸೆಯುವಂಥ ಕೃತ್ಯಗಳು ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ 1980 to 83 ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಐಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಕಮ್ಯುನಲ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಟಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಹೇಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ತಮಟೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಬಡಿತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಧಾನಸೌಧದ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೂತಿರುವಂಥ ಕಿವಿ ಕೇಳದೆ ಇರೋರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಶಬ್ದ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಮತ್ತೆ ತಮಟೆಯನ್ನು ಎತ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ it actually affects the writing also. Dalit writing we can see. Environmental activism, Sundarlal Bahuguna ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು, ವಂದನಾ ಶಿವ. So there are so many things. And establishment of Raita Sangha in Karnataka, it is also very important to see. The development of history of such things. Why such organizations are emerged and the songs they created. ರೈತರ ಅನ್ನವನ್ನ ತಿಂದು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡುವಂಥವರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಮಾತಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ these things are also ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲ? ಆರ್ ಯು ಲಿಸ್ನಿಂಗ್?
Yes, sir.
I found some problem in my yes. Okay.
ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
ರೈಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎ ಮಿನಿಟ್, ನನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಏನೋ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯಿತು. So Dalit rights, farmer protests, environmental activities, they are actually became more important during this period. And why these rights, these movements? Water scarcity. See, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka fights. It's because of the water scarcity actually. So why water scarcity? it is uneven distribution. Uneven distribution, naturally it was happening earlier, but nowadays it is changed. So such things are there actually. Then land right issues. Land right issues, it is actually a common problem in all the centuries actually. Who is the owner of that particular land? And some of the communities are rejected to be the owners of that. So then certainly the communities actually asked for the right. So we want to have the right over the land. That's it. Then rural indebtedness and urban-rural economic divide. So why farmers are actually entered into suicide activity? So how they are going to be empowered, etc., etc. Then comes the question of women. This is another type of things. And then Karnataka's socio-economic development is deeply intertwined with its cultural and social history. We are speaking about Vijayanagara period. In Vijayanagara period, Hampi is actually established as the main city and international trading was there. ಮುತ್ತು ಹವಳಗಳನ್ನ ರಸ್ತೆಯಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತುಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. Okay, jewels, diamonds and gems are actually sold on the roads. Maybe there was such a richness. And because of the colonial entry, British people, all these are actually looted and taken away. And that argument is there. Okay. But my question is, even before that, there were invasions from Ghazni or Ghori Muhammad, establishment of Babur, Akbar, Humayun, etc. Bahmanis in Bijapur Sultans, Vijayanagara, there were infights. Okay, when we are looking into the history, I will tell you, we are reading many a times the palace history. If you enter into a museum, you will see the palace museum. There will be sword of some great person. There will be simhasana of crown of somebody, the seat of somebody, etc., etc. The fort also we will see and we will try to understand the history of that particular place. Okay, it's good because they are the things to standardize our understanding, date backing, etc., etc. So for that purpose, those things are there. So we are looking into the history of kings and other people. When you are reading the textbooks also, we will get the information about it. So very early kingship means Samrat Ashok. Okay, we will study Ashok and we know Bindusara's son is Ashoka, etc., etc. You might have seen the serial which actually comes in the TV recently. Even in Kannada also it came. In Hindi it was very popular, the Samrat Ashoka. It's wonderfully explained the childhood of Ashoka. Okay. But what we are reading in history, the great Alexander the Great entered into India. There is a question whether we have to say Alexander entered into the India or Alexander the Great entered into India. Because we suffered because of his entry. Our kings, they're actually underpowered or their powers are looted or taken away, and still in our history book we are reading like this. So is it necessary to re-look into such things? That's one thing. When we are looking at the colonial period, what we have to highlight? This is again 1773 Regulating Act 2, the entry of Lord Wellesley. So whether we have to introduce them as Wellesley or Lord Wellesley, okay, when it is considered as a title, okay. But if we give the inner meaning of the word Lord to the students, to the children, so whether we are actually teaching the actual history to them? Such questions are there. At the same time, when we are talking about Vijayanagara and Bijapur, or now Vijaypur, I am always worrying not only about the kings who ruled Vijayanagara and who was there in Baumanis or in Vijaypur. I am worrying about the villagers who are actually at equidistant to both these cities, Hampi and Bijapur. Because there will be repeated fights between these two royal dynasties. Sometimes Muslims used to win, sometimes Hindus used to win. When there is Muslims, there will be domination from that side. When Hindus are winning, domination will be from their side. The temples or mosques, they are there in between small villages also. People are there with different belief systems. They are having different faiths. So, what is their position actually? So, whether our history's documentations gives any idea about those things? Such questions always actually comes into our mind. But what happens as far as culture is concerned, culture mixing, culturization, that actually takes place. Over the years, the people, they, okay, at one stage they may have who is king, who is etc., etc. See, after the colonization, after the ruling of British in India, such social changes and cultural changes we can see in a drastic way. First of all, what was the dress earlier, before British came to here? And what is the dress now? Almost in a college classroom, all the male students, they come with pant and shirt, which was not our Indian culture once upon a time, but now it is Indian culture. And a few years back, the women with langa davani would have been there. Nowadays, chudidar is considered as Indian. In Karnataka colleges also, that's common. So this dress code changed, food habit changed, systems changed actually, timings of taking food also changes. So minute changes are actually taking place. Similarly, our economic activities also changed. But again, the question is, with all these changes, how our cultural strong or strength that actually retained? See, you can see such type of piercing iron tridents through our own body for the purpose of appeasement of demons who actually creates problem to the common people. See, I made one interview with the particular person who actually pierced iron trident through his hind legs. I asked him, why are you doing this? My intention is he may get some thousands of rupees on that particular day because devotees give him, or some land is actually reserved for him from the temple to do that particular service, etc., etc. It may be true to some extent that economic impact is there on such practices, but he says, sir, all this is, you keep it aside. If I am not giving the blood to this earth, the Rakshasa Atma, it will be roaming here because this is the war ground, battlefield. Here, the Atma of those demons are wandering here. And if I am not giving the blood, it actually kills so many devotees here, so many people here. Drought may come, wars may happen, flood may come, diseases may come. So, to clean up that demon's mindset, I wanted to appease them. So, for that appeasement, I am giving this sacrifice. It is equal to human sacrifice, he tells. See, our cultural things are settled so much deep in the faiths of the common people's mind. At the same time, at the social level, the changes are happening. Therefore, while looking into the history, if we write simply the issues, the changes, what has happened, without understanding why it has happened, and without understanding the impact of such changes, then certainly our understanding about the history is a little bit failure. So, therefore, it is very necessary to look into the history with open eyes. We have to understand that caste is still prevailed in the society. Caste was there. But what was the structure of the caste some thousands years back? What is the structure of the caste today? What is the empowerment for each and individual in the society once upon a time? And what is the strength of the each individual today? Dalits. Sometimes I used to tell that these pastoral communities, SCs, STs, these people, they are having good strength of population, and their population itself is a good strength for them. They have to convert it. See, these politicians are making use of this actually. They are converting these population as vote banks to them. For that purpose, they are provoking in different ways. Whether they are right or wrong, we can discuss it in a different platform. But what is to be understanding is, yes, this is actually a strength. These strengths we have to work out. So for that purpose, I always tell one particular story. The story of rabbit and tortoise. Common people knows this particular story. ಮೊಲ ಮತ್ತು ಆಮೆಯ ಕಥೆ. ಎರಡು ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್ ರೇಸ್ ಓಡ್ತವೆ. Both actually goes for running race. And actually by natural fitness, a rabbit should win the race. But since it sleeps, tortoise wins. So actually in the old days, in the before modernity, before colonial period, this story okay. But in the modernity period, the tale actually extended. Second part of the story is also there. So rabbit gets offended because of this losing the game. So it calls the tortoise for second round race next Sunday. In that race, naturally, because of the awareness, if I sleep, I lose. Because of this understanding, this rabbit actually runs properly and reaches first, and automatically, because of the physical fitness problem, this tortoise loses the game. Okay, this is actually awakening, knowing about our strength and working for that. This advantage is there. But now the question actually continues in the globalization period. The story actually takes to the next step. The tortoise loses the game. See, earlier it was always losing the game. It had no botheration about losing the game. But when once it wins, it gets the taste of that winning. When that winning is there, automatically losing the game, it pains more. So now it's worrying. When you are having a lot of pains, what you are going to do? You will sit in front of the TV. You will keep on changing the channels. You will not concentrate on any one channel because your mind is so sorrowful. So you are worrying and you are looking at it. This tortoise also did like that. It changed the channel. When it is putting usual channel, only cricket match is coming. So where the toss is given, batting or bowling, only one thing you are observing. But when it changes the channel, there was a lawn tennis going on. Toss is actually tossed. When coin is tossed, the umpire asked, which court you want, this or that. Tortoise saw that, got a clue, rushed to rabbit, called the rabbit. Rabbit, come on, let's go for the running race. Rabbit got astonished. What happened to this tortoise? Why it's calling me? Whether it is ready to lose the game again? Anyway, I am going to win. So I am ready to go for it. So it comes. It starts. When the running race begins, they are ready, they are set to run. Tortoise asks rabbit, rabbit, wait for a while. Every day we are running from this end to this end. Now I want a change in the track. Let us run from here to the footstep of the hill which you are seeing in the west. It changed the track. See, in our business, we make sometimes blind agreements. There will be hairpin curves. We are not understanding that. So what it did actually, it accepted the challenge. Okay, let us run this way. Rabbit started. It's very much aware, awakened. It knows if I sleep, tortoise will win the race. So it ran. Half the way it ran. Suddenly, it got shocked, stood there. Why? Because a river was flowing in between. Rabbit cannot understand what to do. By that time, slowly tortoise come to that particular place, reached that place, gave a rhyming smile to the rabbit, slipped into the river, swam, reached the other end, and said, I am the winner. See, we have to see the situations now. The communities who are not having the energy to compete with other communities who are stronger in certain areas, they have to think about the areas where they are stronger. The rural people who are not having English communication well, okay, they have to make use of the other knowledges what they are having and they have to compete with the things. So like that, the handicaps that should be made as their strength and they have to reach to the next situation. At least to understand this, we have to study the history. Re-looking into history is required for understanding many such things. So the internal disputes between the rural kings, because every 30 kilometers or every 50 kilometers, one new king will be there, one small chieftain will be there, and fights will be there between them. And the fights between them has given opportunity for the entry of this. So unity of India, it should be thought of with the diversity. Unity in diversity becomes very important only when you are understanding this type of gaps when you read the history. So like that, it is very necessary to re-look into the history in different ways. So see, our mind is so strong actually. This is the temple, how beautifully it is constructed. But at the same time, I will show you another simple house. This is the house, this is the hut actually, of the priest of this particular temple. He is a person, a living person, who is supposed to live for a long time. Okay, he should eat because it is functioning. That pounding stone actually tells that it is a living house. But metaphysical thing, the concept of God, we are giving more importance because our belief system is like that. So we are actually creating cultural sentiments there and we are forgetting the realities. But these days, because of this globalization, modernization, etc., see, these things are started questioning. Earlier, we used to listen the stories, but nowadays we started questioning that. This is actually how. See, we have to look at the history also in this way. In the question of Bali and Vamana, a primary school teacher is teaching to his children the story of Bali and Vamana. So he was telling Vamana came, is a 3-foot young dwarf boy. He came to the king Bali, who was doing his 100th Homa. Next time he will become Indra. So before that he came. it is the decision to give whatever the people asks, that he has to make dana. So at that time, he asked for 3 foot of land. Again, question of land comes there, actually, see. So suddenly, Vamana said, okay. Sorry, Bali said, okay. Vamana became Trivikrama and measured the whole of the earth in first step, whole of the sky in the second step. And he asked where I can put the third foot, third measure. Teacher is telling the story. See, earlier we used to accept the stories, whatever told. Like before Kepler or Galileo, the earth was flat. Churches are telling that, people accepted it. And when Columbus asked somebody to accompany him to find new route to India, people feared. Nobody was ready to accompany him because they had a feeling that if they travel in one particular direction towards east, so one fine end will come and they may drop down. So from the earth. So with that fear, because earth was flat according to them. But after Galileo, after Copernicus, the idea has changed. The science has actually revealed what exactly it is. And spherical structure of earth is explained. Of course, Vasco da Gama made a dare entry into the ocean and he reached, he found a new route. So like that, the questioning is very important. See, when the teacher actually continued this story, an young kid sitting at the corner, he raised his hand. Teacher asked, what is the question? He said, sir, I am having a doubt. When Vamana measured the whole of the earth by his first foot measure, where Bali was standing, because he was supposed to be covered by that, So teacher got confused. See, this is how actually the dramatic questions actually rises. Nowadays, many historical gaps are questioned. Many historical things are questioned in Sidki's questions also. Whether a writer is properly placed or not. His views are taken properly or not. See, there is a question actually. If you want to conquer a particular country, you have to spoil the culture of that country. You have to spoil the language of that country. Then automatically the country comes to your foldings. That ideology is there. But it is not so easy to do it step by step. Britishers actually did like this. This argument is also there. It is making the communities weaken and they're expressing ideology. That is also. So education system also. In education system, actually, we are telling education system is changed, education system is changed. But I am really worrying about one particular point. Education is imparting some knowledge. What is education? It is making you to adjust to the new situation. That's education, actually. At the same time, you are making to think about a particular concept. But how is the education? Education is actually, it is also contaminated. You are made to think in a proper way how the teacher wants. This is exactly the problem. So history also. While writing the history, you want to restructure the whole country, deconstruct. That means whatever the belief system you are having, you spoil it. Whatever the historical writings you wrote, you spoil it. Then you appoint somebody, you educate somebody to write your own history, maybe the local people only, to write it very powerfully, but the history, the way in which you want to write. So then what happens? Then what happens? The people actually forgets the real history and they will accept the new history, and which actually misleads the whole of the things. So misrepresentations will happen. But in oral culture, what happens? The totality of the thinking that will be collected in a coded form, and these coded forms will be changed from one generation to another. So even the context shifts, the proverbs, the sayings, that actually gives you the exact meaning of the context, and it gives a clear picture of what is what. The knowledge actually transfers in a proper way. So for this purpose, it is very essential to re-look into the history. Then only we can understand what cultural changes are taking place, what social changes are taking place, what economic growth is possible there. See, we cannot say all the developments are developments. See, building dams is good for certain landlords. But what about the villagers who actually drowned in that particular area? They had the life with the communities, with the forest where they were living. For example, when tea estates are established in Ooty, what about the Todas who were living there? They were living there. They were living there for many years. Without harming the forest, they are actually, it's in Nagarhole. When Nagarhole, that KRS dam is established, that region is actually drowned, etc., etc. But during that Nagarhole, when Abhyaranya is made, the tribes who were living in that, they were shifted to colony, Nagar colony. Near Hunsur, they have created some colonies actually. Nagarkeri 1, Nagarkeri 2, Nagarkeri 3, like that, some colonies. And they were given a square tape area, one site or two sites or some half acre land, etc., etc. Small lands they were given to each family, and they are asked to shift those houses. What they did? They put the sheep in the house. They established another house, another hut actually at the back side, and they started living in it. Why? Because it is their lifestyle. They are actually covering by fencing half an acre around their house, but they are not cutting any tree fully. They will take the leaves, branches, or fruits from that, some important parts, but they retain the tree forever. So without harming the environment, they are living in that particular item. But these dams, these new agricultural system, these tea estates, these coffee estates, they actually created a problem to these communities. This tribal community got a lot of problems during this colonial system, and they became the laborers in such things. Laborers. And even our festivals and other things, they actually changed. And then in this modern era, what happens? See, the folk culture, it was there with this oral literature, folk performances, etc., etc. Yakshagana was running throughout the night. When cinema comes, in 3 hours, beautiful things are actually shown there. Okay, people entering into Yakshagana, our audience level decreased. So now new modernity has come actually. TV shows are there. So 1 hour time will be given to Yakshagana troupe. Those who are actually doing since night 9 o'clock to morning 6 o'clock, they started curtailing their performance for 1 hour, setting suitable for TV show. And this is actually modernization that actually changed the cultural event. Devi Mahatma from Katilu, Durga Parmeshwari, Yakshagana Mandali, the performance is fixed for another 10 years, up to 2030, I believe. 6 teams are there. All teams, all days performances are booked already as Seva Harke. Because These folk performances are patronized by temples in earlier days. Now only few performances are actually patronized like that. But when they are actually shifted to this modern platform, this patronization has gone. When Kantara is coming to the movie, that Bhuta performance, it becomes very common. And in all school colleges, this performance started taking place. And the community who actually wants that culture, they objected for it. And they went to the court also to say that these performances should not be conducted in the different context. So the cultural changes actually creates cultural shocks also. These cultural shocks, Alfred Toffel actually writes on that, generation shocks. How actually the communities are getting shocks, generations are getting shocks actually. So nowadays, M.N. was that regarding village book we have to see. Actually, villages have become the stay houses for old age people or young children, because all youths are either migrated to nearby towns or to abroad to earn more. So the village ecosystem remains the same, but economy system is changed. So while understanding the things, we have to see. We have to observe the things very carefully. See here, one last information I will give and I will conclude my talk. Here I am showing one performance photo, right side. This is a performance of Mahabharata. When Yakshagana performance or similar type of performance, when you said it should be on a stage where actually audience are sitting in one particular direction in front, the three sides will be covered, stage will be there, performance will be going on. But all the time, this may not be the true situation. Just I will show one particular video. Just see this. And with this, I am going to